Hi, it's Twi. Happy Friday. Yo, where's my... Okay, I was like... it was just the title screen blacked out. I was like, what happened to my capture card? I can literally hear the game. It's there. Hello. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy Saturday. Today, we are busting out the Mario Kart. For the first time in a while on stream, it feels like. I did play a little bit yesterday, actually, because it was my friend Nivu's birthday. So I played a little bit with him. But I'm quite washed at Mario Kart 8, so this will be fun. I definitely don't think that I'm in my peak form. However, you know, we're just here for vibes anyway. Yeah, of course. If anybody has Mario Kart and you would like to join today, the friend code is pinned both on YouTube and Twitch. And you can add me up and feel free to hop into the worldwides. We'll just be playing. Dude, look at that. Look at that second guy. Those are some ginormous glasses. Those glasses are huge. What? That's fire. Can I join? Yeah, for sure. You can send a friend request to my Switch profile as long as you also have a Mario Kart, and then feel free to join up on the worldwide. Let's see what do we got. Joe Cool. Yo, we got some Canada rep in the room. The two guys with the giant glasses are both Canadians. Hell yeah. Yo, actually, I was playing outside of my friend's birthday a little bit yesterday as well. Not beforehand. Normally, if I was saying that, it would be like I was practicing beforehand so that I wouldn't be as rusty going in. But it was actually, I couldn't sleep properly last night. My sleep was super duper jank. And I ended up playing Mario Kart at like 4:30 in the morning. Yo, normally I'm used to playing at like regular hours and seeing like the one lone Japanese player who's like on at like 5:30 in the morning or something. But this time it was the opposite. The whole lobby was like Japan, Australia, a couple UK maybe, and then you just got me in Canada playing at 4:30 in the morning for some reason. But I had some fun with it last night as well. It was a very odd sleep schedule last night. I took a nap from like 10:30 to half past midnight. Ah! Come on, man. And then afterwards, I woke up and I was hanging out in Nahi's stream and getting some editing done for like 3 hours. Then I laid down for another hour, but I couldn't sleep. So I got up and played Mario Kart. And then I finally went back to sleep. I think I fell asleep at like almost 6, dude. My sleep is so cooked. Apparently my Mario Karting is also so cooked right now. But you know what? It's okay. Race is not over. I didn't quite get the chain, but I did get the bullet. That's pretty clutch. Let's try and get these coins. Then we can rip it. Come on, Shirley. Bullet into star. We will dodge the shock. Oh, I get to chain this? Nice. Another star. Come on. Bullet, star. You gotta give me the dodge. Another star, baby. I can't see my play. No! Why? Ah! 7th? That is... the warm-up race, you know, it'd be like that. I don't even know if I gained. I'm in the way. Where is VTube Studio? I'm blind. Where am I? Here I am. Scoot. Let's scoot. into the corner so that you can actually see what's happening in the bottom right. Also, we got another friend request. And gotta be Wario's gold mine. I'm a Mario Kart wee boy at heart. Gotta be Wario's gold mine. Yeah, actually, you know what's really interesting? I've been watching some Mario Kart videos recently. And apparently right now, Mario Kart Wii is at its peak playership since the servers went down. Like, it's actually bigger now in terms of the community-hosted servers than it ever was. Which is really cool. I would not expect that Mario Kart Wii would be having a renaissance in 2026. But I do love to see it. It's really interesting. From what I saw, basically, they set up a custom server that has like an uncapped leaderboard on it. And they're doing it called Retro Rewind. They've basically got all of the regular Mario Kart Wii tracks, and on top of that, I think legitimately like another 100 custom tracks of like other tracks from different Mario Karts recreated in the game. Some of them are like older, some of them are Mario Kart 8 or like 7. They even have some Mario Kart World tracks that they remade. And they've made a bunch of surfaces into ramps so that it kind of feels like you're tricking all over the place like in World, which I think is super cool. I think that's so creative of the community to be doing. I also saw that they basically fixed the balance issue of the game. This is a crazy long wait. What is this lag? They buffed carts so that using a cart is actually like viable, which I think is really neat. So there's a bit more of like a diverging meta to the game. Okay, there we go. I was like, am I gonna get kicked, or is this just like the longest lag start in the history of everything ever? Yeah, I've been watching some videos of it, and I definitely think that sometime in the next couple weeks, I would like to see if I can maybe get the servers installed for Mario Kart Wii. Because the fact that it's at peak playership like right now is so cool to me. And it looks very fun. I was also dying earlier because I was watching a video where it's one of my favorite like guys from Mario Kart. He's kind of the OG Mario Kart YouTuber guy. His name is Troy, or TWD98 for anybody who knows ball. And he's been doing a series of trying to get to like 100,000 ELO on Mario Kart Wii's like new retro rewind ladder thing. And in the most recent video, he was introducing this one random player, almost like it was a true crime, like infamous criminal or something. It was like, he was like, oh my god, the biggest menace in the entire Mario Kart community just joined. We got Dog Lord in the lobby. And it's just like the most default looking meme of all time. And then he starts showing clips of people getting absolutely boomed by this guy from his Discord. He's playing he's playing as Wario in the Wild Wing, which is like, I think the biggest hitbox car in the game. And he would just like intentionally slow down and like troll to try and hit people and like ruin their race. It was so stupid to watch. Oh my, red shells forever, please. Whoa! Whoa! My OBS is frozen, please! I can't. I need to see that. Okay, it's fine. How am I still in third, bro? What? I literally froze for like 5 seconds. No! That's so bad. Oh, I die for that too? That's messed up. Somebody hit that. Somebody actually did hit that. Oh, there's 2 stars though. Well, that was going really well until it wasn't. Damn. It do be like that sometimes. We'll get them in the next one. I can't. You should be able to if you go into online multiplayer, you go into worldwides, and then like there should be a friend, or I think you go into like wherever the friends tab is, and you should be able to join me through that. Like you can just click my name and click to join. If the lobby's full, you might have to spectate for a little bit, but otherwise it should be joinable. We have a couple slots open in the worldwide right now. There's me dancing in the middle with some random guy. I don't know. He has a nice beard though. Dude, I feel like my friends who can grow beards, I'm kind of jealous and I'm kind of not. Like, I don't feel like the beard look would fit my vibe very well, but also just the fact that they can do it is cool. Because, like, I cannot. I grow just enough for it to look ugly if I don't shave, and then nothing more. It's, like, so inconvenient. Like, I wonder if I actually could rock a beard. I wonder if I would bother shaving nearly as often. Maybe. I probably still would, honestly. I don't know. I feel like I always look so disheveled whenever I have facial hair. Dude, the like start lag on these races is ridiculous. Maybe honestly I might try a new lobby after this round because oh my god. I don't know if it's because this lobby is like so dominantly Japan and Australia, but this is ridiculous, bro. It's like a 20-30 second wait at the start of every race. I don't think I've ever seen this before. There we go. But then we'll lose out on Joe Cool. Ah! These red shells, man. So good. I'm so used to Mario Kart Wii where the red shells are like actually brain damaged. Like they just have no idea what they're doing. You throw it at your opponent from like 5 feet away and it'll like swerve into a wall for no reason. Like red shells are actually, they can be useful, but it almost feels like you need to get up point blank like with a green shell to have a good shot of it doing anything. Whereas in this game, it's like you could throw a red shell from halfway across the map. It's gonna find its way. It will make the voyage, and it will get there successfully. Is that star? Okay. That is scary. It's fine. Okay, we need to start using some of these mushrooms. Take the shortcut. Try and get up a little bit. I hope they don't pull a red. I'm just gonna pop this here. I wonder if I'm ever far enough back. Oh! Oh, that sucks, dude. That sucks so bad. Oh, I'm gonna own somebody else at least. Sorry. I'm probably... Okay, well... No item? That is devastating. That is brutal. Not last, please. Ah, nah. Oh, wait. Well, it's not last, I suppose. Second last. Pretty rough. Guy's named Aura Farm, bro. Yeah, okay. This entire lobby is like Australia, Japan. Maybe I will try and get a new worldwide here. Because there is some bonkers lag. It's not the reason I lost, but it is funny at the start of every race to just sit there quietly with Lakitu for like a full minute. Let's see. Spectating? Probably. 5. Man. This lobby is also Japan, Australia. And lap 1! Okay. I'm gonna literally restart my game. And get another lobby. There's no way that my game is this dead. Come on, Mario Kart. Lock in. It's only 7 p.m. Where are my NA brethren? At least the late night Europeans. Come on. I guess it is Sunday in Japan. Maybe that's part of why there's so many JP players on. Then again, though, I feel like there's always Japanese people playing Mario Kart. It doesn't matter what hour of the day. Doesn't matter what day of the week. Somebody will be there. Oh, we don't even have to wait for this one. Hell yeah. Okay. Let's go Merry Mountain. Because it's whimsical. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Chrysler. It might be past Christmas, but it is it's definitely winter time now. I feel like Christmas was the fun part of winter time, and now it is it's so cold, bro. Like, maybe this is too Canadian for anybody else here to relate. Do you ever just go outside and the air feels like sharp? Like it kind of hurts to breathe it a little bit? Because it's so cold. That was me this morning. I went out today, and in the morning, it was so bad, bro. It was so freezing cold. Like, my God. I felt bad because I went out with my mom, and she had asthma. And she's, like, wheezing. Yeah, like, every time we get out of the cold outside. Because it's just like so, the air is so like tough. I don't know. But I mean, ultimately it was nice though. I had a nice day out today. I went and I got ramen for the first time in like a few months. Oh, dude, I love getting a good bowl of ramen, bro. Oh my God. It hits so right, especially because it was so cold today, you know what I mean? I feel like normally I'm not like a food temperatures person, you know, I'm not the type of person who is super craving like having a nice hot soup on a cold day, or like a hot chocolate, or having an ice cream on a hot summer day or whatever, you know. I usually don't care about stuff like that, but I will say maybe I'm coming around to it because it was very nice. Then again, though, I feel like I already mostly warmed up by the time I actually got my food. Like my mom was having some tea or whatever. I was just having like cold water. I don't care. They gave a glass to both of us. My mom was like, all right, well, you can have 2 glasses of water then, I guess. I was like, okay. Which I did need, to be fair, because I got shield ramen, which is like salt broth. Although, to be honest, I feel like it's kind of misleading as a like broth name. Like, because it is salty, right? All of them are salty. Like, ramen is just inherently salty. But it's not the same way that I think of, like, I don't know. If you get chips and they're, like, salt emphasized as a flavor, it's like salt with a side of potato, you know? Like, your tongue is gonna disintegrate after, like, 3 of them. The ramen, like, it's still fairly mild, you know what I mean? No way I win this. I frauded that so hard. Oh, Yoshi, I am so sorry. That was messed up. He got robbed. He got so robbed. But we take those. Ayy. Yeah, the cold weather, the cold air is the absolute worst. But you know what? It's okay. We move. We deal with it. I'll pick Snowland to show my aptitude. Also, I don't think I said before, but hi, Keiko. Hope you're doing good. Welcome. You know what I've been thinking about recently a little bit? I've been thinking about the fact... Because I stopped playing Uma Musume, right? I was just remembering the fact that I never actually left my club. I wonder if they booted me or if I'm just sitting there like AFK their club by accident. I hope not. But to be fair, I don't even know if Rhea has been playing still either. Probably. I think Rhea still plays, but I've been seeing her doing a lot of Overwatch recently, so... Surely it's fine. Yeah, I've been very good. Thank you. It's so nice not waiting like 30 seconds. That lobby was crazy. We got a much bigger spread. Maybe it's the lack of Australia here. Because there's still Japanese players in the lobby, and clearly they are pretty good. Did I not hit that guy, or is there 3 Japanese players? Oh, there's... Like, half the lobby is Japan. Oh, never mind. Okay, I see. What's corny is being able to show up and the first thing you say is just mean to somebody for no reason. How about you get out of here? How about you change your title? How about you change your title to being a noble person instead of a bum? I'm also a bum, but at least I'm funny though. Sometimes. And in first place. Got him. Not me getting rage baited by random person on Twitch. See, this is why we get Emote Lab. Because now I can pull out the angry typing emote. And all of a sudden, I have a way to express my disdain. It's perfect. I don't know why I bothered actually verbally responding to that, though. I'm just tired. I almost just super horned the blue shell for that guy, but I think they also had a super horn. I guess the shock neutralizes it either way. First and then second, though? Okay, we take those. Bang. Wait, you were doing a custom texture for me? Wait, that's so sweet. I appreciate that. I was kind of curious how the custom textures work. Because I know they exist. I just hadn't really looked into it that much. Do I vote Baby Park? No, I'm not going to vote Baby Park. If it happens, it happens. Yeah, I don't know a lot about how the the custom textures work. But I assume that you can basically just import, like, okay, I guess what I'm most curious about, does it have to overwrite one of the existing parameters, or is it more like you add a parameter of your own? Because I imagine it would be pretty complicated to just add your own parameters and have it still animate onto all of the different presets properly. It seems complicated. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I'm sure they thought about it when they programmed it, but I just haven't seen that much info about it, like, publicly yet. Kind of restricted. Overwrites it. Okay, so it is like an overwriting texture. I see. I guess my question, if anything, would be like, how would you make my, like, planet ring, for example? How would you manage to overwrite that when I feel like you need two things, right? Because the only thing that's like really wrong with it is that you don't have a front and back layer to make the layering correct, right? You have just like one and the whole thing goes in front. But I feel like to do the layering, you'd need two assets, right? You know, one thing I was thinking about that I forgot to write into the script when I made my video about Emote Lab as well, is I would have loved to see more customizability for the eyes. I feel like eyes were like a lot more simplified than I maybe expected initially. Like, I don't get to do the little like sunrise thing with my eyes that I thought would have been really cool. But I wasn't surprised that I couldn't either, right? Like, that's the thing for Emote Lab, is that I think it's really cool, but it'll probably be more revolutionary to like the modern newer VTuber, where they're most likely starting on a custom model. And so you can kind of play the market by setting up enough parameters that all the customs can like create their character in your... Oh my god, I got so hosed by that. Oh my, I'm spinning out. Ah! Okay, huge. You know, you can kind of set it up in such a way that everybody who has a custom VTuber model off of one of the popular ones probably has the parameters to make the emotes as well. And then it's going to be like super widespread. But a lot of my enjoyment in VTubing is having like a very personalized character motif and having like a lot of little details that play into it. And so I think that just by the nature of that, maybe it's not as well suited to me. I still think they're really cool. I like having the emotes, but I feel like it's mostly something that is secondary to the custom stuff for me, instead of like a substitute. It's just more like a bonus. But then again, like, I probably wouldn't have... I wouldn't be getting those emotes if I wasn't doing Emote Lab, because I don't have money for it, so... Like, the price is unbelievably good. If you have the art skills to create custom assets and you don't mind having like a very sort of similar, like if you don't mind having similar emotes to everyone else, then it's an insane tool realistically. Because like for $10, getting all those animated presets and being able to like customize it pretty well just on delivery, and then even more so if you figure out the custom assets, that's pretty insane, you know. I think one of the things I'm really curious to see about Emote Lab and how it pans out for the industry is in the future, if we're gonna start seeing other artists use Emote Lab to create like preset bundles. Because I noticed like there's like a selection screen at the top of the software. I think the base ones are called like Coffee Bean or something. I could be wrong about that. Bro, why am I getting target shocked in a 6? That's messed up. Oh, I'm bad. Yeah, because I could totally imagine that, like, I don't know, on the one hand, if you're really good at making animated emotes and you do that, maybe you'll get a lot less custom commissions, which will give you more money per capita. And like some of the higher profile people will probably be the ones commissioning you, which has its own benefits. On the other hand, if you have like an affordable like pack to distribute, that is going to get you a lot. Oh my, bam, shock dodge. Oh, and the golden. Oh, and he messes up the cut into the pipe, into the rail. It doesn't matter. We get 4th. We take those. Yeah, I guess I also don't know how you would avoid people redistributing stuff like that. Like for the default one, you're chilling because it's already paywalled behind just buying Emote Lab. But I guess my curiosity is if we'll see other artists make their own engines for stuff like this, or if they will use Emote Lab kind of as a distributor and then sell a preset for it, or if nobody else will do it and it'll just be like a one standalone thing, because it does seem like a very specialized project. I feel like if you haven't both gotten good at drawing and animating emotes and also knowing how to live 2D rig very well, then that would be quite hard. But then again, I suppose you're probably live 2D rigging a lot of the time for emotes anyway, so maybe it's not quite as crazy. It just feels like it has a lot of overlap with creating a VTuber model, which I don't necessarily expect VTuber artists and emote artists to have like the biggest overlap. I'm sure there's definitely some, but it's very interesting. I think it's one of the coolest ideas that's been had in like the art side of the scene in a very long time. And I'm very curious to see how it will change things, because like it certainly is incredibly accessible compared to previous options. You know, a lot of the time an animated emote is super expensive. Like, you know, you might even pay like well more than $10 for a static emote, like one static emote from a relatively newer artist. And that's not to say that that's an unfair price. It's not, right? For the amount of work they're doing, it's totally fine. At the same time, you know, being able to offer like a huge, widely accepted emote pack like that at such a value, it allows your community to be a lot more expressive, which I think is very cool. I don't think it'll make the emote market, like... I don't think it'll monopolize the emote market. I think lots of people will still get custom emotes done. But I am curious to see how much it will monopolize the market for, like, cheaper art, I suppose. Because there will always still be some people who haven't heard of it, who want something unique. You know, whatever it might be, they just like this specific artist's style. There's lots of reasons to not do the emote lab presets anyway. But I do imagine that it will be a pretty big impact to the scene. In the same way that if you're like a more beginner live 2D artist and you sort of spec'd into trying to learn how to make a VTuber model for people as like your main form of commissions, and then all of the new customizables come out, there's probably less people who are willing to spend like $500 on a cheap model art when they can spend $100 on a customizable and just figure out something that they like with that design. You know what I mean? It definitely changes things. Whether it's good or bad, I think is more nuanced than you can easily answer. But I think on the whole, more accessibility is good. So I'm curious to see how it will shake out. For the time being, I like having new cute emotes on Discord, so that's good enough for me. And it's, yeah, okay, of course. I think that accessibility is not fine if it's through AI, because there's just no real art behind that. It's very soulless. I think it speaks very poorly to your brand. Whereas, and not even just your brand, it speaks poorly to your character, right? Whereas, I think that preset like character creation tools are they are more like tools for when you're starting out and you don't know how to do everything yourself, or you can't afford to be as tailored yet. There's nothing wrong with it, I think of it in the same way that, like, okay, I've never used this service, but I know a lot of people use like Picrew to either like maybe get a PNG or like as a ref for like a more simple character or something. And I think that having the option for stuff like that is fine. I think that it's cool. There's also the side of it, which is just that like character creation is really fun. Like, scuffed as it may have been, and also now, I don't know if it's servers are down yet. If not, they are soon, which is quite sad to me. But I really liked Fashion Dreamer on the Switch for quite a while. It did get old. I think that the content ran out. But for a while, until I exhausted it, I was really enjoying playing Fashion Dreamer. And ultimately, that's just like the entire game. Is you just make a character, you find a bunch of other people's characters, you make outfits out of preset stuff. And there is some fun to it, sometimes you don't want to entirely have to do everything from scratch. Sometimes it's nice to just have a bunch of preset options and make something cute from what's given to you. I'm the only Canadian left. No! Where are my Canadian brethren? Joe Cool, come back. Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be anything else that will kind of receive stuff like this. Like, how long do you think it'll be until somebody makes a stream overlay customizer at some point? You know, maybe not... Like, I don't know that it's as necessitated in the sense that free overlays exist, but they're kind of very generic a lot of the time. And you can't really, like, tweak them. It's just kind of like, here's a good overlay of a generic theme that you are free to use, right? But what, or like that you can pay to use or whatever. But what about if you actually had like a preset option, like a bunch of presets to an overlay that you could tweak to better match your brand, you know? By the time we're in like 2030 for VTubing, you could probably have a whole debut for like $100, and that includes like the model, the overlay, the emotes. Like, you could get everything. And if you're willing to spec it into what your options are off of customizables, you could probably start at like a very low price. I think it's interesting that the option exists, and it makes sense, because I also think that right now art is majorly a luxury in a time where it's so expensive to be going for luxuries like that all the time. And the upfront costs of VTubing are very steep, right? So you can do pre-made models, but at the end of the day, you still have to sell them for quite a bit in order to make your money back. Unless, you know, you have a system where you can sell the same blueprint to like a bunch of people. And we had it before, you know, like models that were pay for use or free for use that you don't take exclusive rights over. But I think a lot less people were willing to gravitate to them, despite the advice of like, oh, you should always just pick up a free model and try streaming and then see how you like it. You know, it's good advice, it's true. And at the same time, not having like a more personal component to it, I think, kills the excitement for a lot of people. And so innovating to have like a pay-for-use like engine to create with, and being able to price it very low as a result of being able to expect a much wider like overall amount of purchases is a very good innovation for the market in a time where it might have just died anyway had it not happened, you know what I mean? Because I think that for the most part, the same types of people who really want like a VTuber model, and they will go and find an artist and get it custom made, they're much more likely to have a specific like vision and image where they'll still want to go and do that anyway. And I also think that by going with the customs, you do lose out on some things, right? On the one hand, you have some sort of commonality with other people that use the customizable that you do, so you can have that as like a talking point. But you don't get to have like as special of a relationship as if somebody else is like your VTuber sibling, or especially I would say even more so than that in some cases, because you won't always have that, right? Just the relationship with the artist, I think, is also something very underrated. Like in my case, my VTuber mama, I have no siblings from her. I have no other people that have been made into a model. And yet, you know, I've worked with her on so many different projects, and I have nothing but nice things to say. She's a really nice person and a great artist, and I love her work. And I think that I think we got to be more invested in each other's success as a result of me becoming a VTuber and having her draw it. It was really great. And there's still times, like, even nowadays, sometimes where I'll reach out to her and she like doesn't really draw nearly as much as she used to anymore. She has a day job now. Ugh, the tragedy. And yet she's still willing to do stuff. Like, if I want something, she'll still be willing to work on it, which I find to be so wholesome. I'm so appreciative of that. And same with my VTuber Papa. I feel like he's very... He's on the opposite end of the spectrum in terms of workflow. Instead of not really being available, or like as available because they took up a different job, it's like he just has like a billion clients, you know, on the complete opposite end of my VTuber mama being like, I'm the only person that's been drawn. My VTuber Papa, I have like, I don't know, 1,000 siblings or something, and it's because you're just a very good rigger that works fast, very earnest. And so, you know, it's always nice to have the opportunity to work with them. It would be nice if one day I can get closer with more people who I'm like the same VTuber Papa as, but also like the vast majority of the clients are Japanese, right? Both of the artists I work with are Japanese artists, and so for the most part, it's a lot harder for me to like find the connection there. There's some cool ones, like, you know, Chogakse. The blue shell goes that wide? What? That is ridiculous. Oh, I double own them with the boomerang though. Okay, it doesn't even matter. Chogakse has a VTuber model. I don't know that he uses it that much, but he has one, and it's the same rigger that I have, which I think is crazy. Because Chogakse is like one of the coolest Yutaite ever, bro. So cool. I kind of wish that he streamed more. I don't know. I don't think he does much, but I do love his covers every once in a while. Oh man, did he private his streams? His streams aren't even like visible on his YouTube anymore. Man. Oh, it's not the most surprising. I feel like he's kind of already got his established aesthetic going with his IRL shot anyway. I will say Chogakse is like a genius for the brand that he built as a Yutaite. Because being able to have every music video be you singing as like a silhouette over a background, that's so recognizable and affordable at the same time, right? Like most of the time with Yutaite, you're either spending crazy money on music videos all the time, or you're just borrowing the main music video most of the time. And so then the only like defining factor is your voice, which is kind of the spirit of Yutaite to begin with, I think. But also, you know, being able to win at both is impressive. And he's one of the only people I can think of who did. Yeah, I think Chogakse is really cool. Part of my bias, I think, is that I find it really satisfying to listen to guys who have either a very low or very high, like, natural singing voice. Maybe it's just like me, you know, I think it's one of those things where it's like wanting what you can't have, sort of. I can always work on my range, but there's something that hits different for me about those kind of voice types, just naturally. It just sounds so nice. You know, like why couldn't I have like a crazy deep voice?
Like what if I always sound like this, but like it was actually smooth and not forced? You know, like what if this was just my voice? This really fit my model. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like this is really in character for me as Twi.
Nah, honestly, I think that if anything, having like a smaller voice would probably be more my personality, but that would also probably mean being shorter. So. I suppose I won't complain. I'm scared. I'm scared of items. Okay. No! There's a bomb! You absolute menace! Why? I lost 5 spots because somebody put a bomb on the finish line! That's so mean! Dude! What the heck? Whoever put that bomb there chose violence. They already finished the race. The race was over for them. And they decided to be an agent of chaos. You know, okay, let's think on the bright side. Me getting bombed literally on the finish line and losing 5 spots is terrible for me. But I also just made 5 other people's day right there. 5 other people just frauded a spot off of me taking the fall. And therefore, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe I spread some joy and some whimsy in the people of the humble Mario Kart worldwide right now. There's always a silver lining. You just have to be optimistic. I bumped into the wall because I was trying to read this Japanese guy's name, and it was Orange Ice Kun, which I think is like Orange Ice Cream Kun is probably what they're referring to. Man, I haven't had orange ice cream in such a long time, like orange sherbet or whatever. Sherbet or sherbet? I'm not sure. Dude, you remember like the little creamsicles back in the day? Oh. Those are good. I think that in terms of like the sherbet stuff, lime was like my favorite. But orange also very good, very classic. And I'm still thinking about that Guespionage round from Jackbox stream yesterday, where it was saying like if you could only eat one ice cream flavor for the rest of your life, which one are you picking? And chocolate was the #1 answer. That's so fake. Like those people are just not real. There's absolutely no way that you can pick any ice cream flavor, but only one for the entirety rest of your life, and you're picking chocolate. Like that's actually the biggest throw of all time. That's so redonkulous. It makes no sense. Because, like, aside from the fact that chocolate ice cream just doesn't hit in the same way that chocolate in general or ice cream in general does, I feel like it's a mid ice cream experience and a mid chocolate experience, right? But that's the other thing too, is even if you like chocolate ice cream particularly, like it's quite good in your eyes, you could still have like an infinite amount of other chocolate desserts or just chocolate itself. Like there are so many ways to enjoy chocolate, you know what I mean? But there is nothing else that quite hits the experience of some of the other ice cream flavors, you know what I mean? Like, I think vanilla ice cream is very hard to replicate. You could could say like vanilla yogurt or something maybe is kind of close, but doesn't hit quite the same, you know. Cookie dough ice cream, being able to actually eat cookie dough properly, that's really nice. Although I suppose you could probably make like some form of edible cookie dough with no egg if you really wanted to, but I don't feel like it would hit the same. I'm not saying I would choose mint chocolate chip. Easily I'd choose it over chocolate, but yeah, that's another one where it's like it's kind of hard to get like a good mint chocolate experience in the same way, but I like just straight mint chocolate enough that I would do that. Like, not in ice cream form. Or there's lots of other ways that I like mint chocolate. Like, when I make brownies, dude, I love to put mint chocolate in my brownies. Or what I've done a couple times as well is you can make, like, a ganache with mint chocolate pretty easily. You pour it over the top. You get, like, a hard chocolate layer on top with the mint. And then you have, like, the regular brownie rich chocolate underneath. Very nice as well. I did mint chocolate macarons over the holidays as well, which was pretty nice. I feel like it's pretty easy to well, okay, obviously making macarons is not pretty easy. It's extremely hard, and mine came out very ugly and not right. However, you know, I enjoyed it. And they still tasted really good because it mostly just tasted like the mint chocolate ganache, which was very yummy. And because they were ugly, nobody else took any, which meant that I got to eat more cookie. So this is my pro baking advice to you guys, okay? Is if you pick something that's easy to make it taste good, but hard to make it look good, you always win, because it's really satisfying if you successfully make it look delicious. And on top of that, if you make it ugly, but it still tastes good, that's just more for you. It's like normally you get the chef's piece. You just like take the ugliest part, or maybe you take the first piece and that's your piece, and then you're sharing with other people. But like if it's ugly, then every piece is the chef's piece. You just get to be fat. It's great. And maybe it's not great if you're not trying to eat an entire tray of brownies. Oh my, I got so owned by that hitbox. Wow. Okay, well, 8, we take that. But if you don't mind being fat, then it is very nice. Be nice to do some baking soon, maybe for Valentine's. I don't have anyone to give it to. Just for me. Just that I can have my own Valentine's experience. I can be my own Valentine, make myself some chocolates or whatever. Make something yummy. Celebrate loving myself. Maybe have a nice platonic Valentine's experience. Share some stuff with my friends because I love my friends. That could always be nice. I feel like next week's gonna be pretty busy for me, but I could probably find the time. What do I mean, probably? I could definitely find the time to bake if I want. So maybe I'll end up doing something. You know what I was kind of thinking about out of curiosity? I don't have any cookie cutters, but do you think if I shaped my cookie dough like by hand into hearts that it would still come out as a heart shape? It might look ugly, but if it was still identifiable as a heart, I would consider that a win. Whoa! Whoa! You can go out of bounds there? I did not realize that. Dude, I am like all over the tracks on Mario Kart 8. This game is so hard compared to Mario Kart Wii, even though Mario Kart Wii is like objectively harder, I feel like. This game is so slippery. It's like so much less satisfying to drive. I miss my juicy inside drift bikes that are absolutely busted. Ooh, bullet. Okay, I'm gonna hold that for a little bit. Guess I'll just take it like here. Not too bad. Missed the item because I'm the best to ever do it. What do I kind of back into the pack? Ah! Rude. Rude. Just straight up. Rude. Ooh. Wait, I didn't know I could pull a bullet. Somebody in front of me had a bullet. No! Man, why do they make it so you can actually get shocked while you're in the cannon in this game? That's so messed up. Okay, well. Triple mushrooms is good. Single mushroom, not so much. Oh, I'm gonna get red shelled. This is bad. Oh, or I just get stuck. That's also an option. Oh! Wait, that was so smooth. Oh, from downtown! I sniped that guy. That was insane. I actually just like dropped out of the sky onto that Yoshi. Holy. Getting a clean ride on the corner of those like little zip rails is so satisfying. I love DK Summit. That was my impression of my boom arm squeaking. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I didn't mention earlier. So I went for ramen earlier, right? I did mention that. I forgot to mention what my mom got because I found this to be really funny to me. My mom, I don't know. I feel like she's still a soup person. Maybe she just doesn't like ramen. I don't know. But didn't want to order ramen, so she was looking at some other stuff. And she ended up ordering mazemen, which is like mixed noodles, I guess is how you would translate that. I don't know. Of course she didn't know. She was like maize men. I didn't which I thought was funny. But it was some sort of like mixed noodle dish where they serve you like a bowl of noodles and there's like, you know, a very runny egg in the middle of the plate and like a chili sauce on the bottom, and you're supposed to like stir it all. You break the egg yolk, you stir it all in, and then you eat your noodles, right? And that's like the way it's supposed to be. But my mom was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that. I don't want the egg." She's like, "Do you want my egg?" I was like, I don't like egg either. I'm sorry." So she ended up just like very cautiously maneuvering around this like runny egg in the middle all the way through her entire bowl of noodles, which I thought was quite funny. She also got to the like chili sauce at the bottom more, and she asked if I wanted to try it, and I was like, sure. You know, mostly just like a little bit, like there was like a little piece of meat or something that was still left in there, so I was like, okay, you know, I'll like take that. And she was like, "You're not gonna try the soup?" And I'm just sitting there like, I don't think that's supposed to be a soup, Mom. That's like I don't think you're supposed to drink the chili sauce at the bottom. It looked a little like thick or like grainy for that to me. But it was very endearing. It was a nice meal either way. She still enjoyed it, so I was just glad to get ramen for the first time in a while. You know, it's something that I definitely don't take for granted, is the fact that my mom likes to meet up and go to a sit-down restaurant, you know, like once every like month or two or whatnot, right? It's just such a nice experience, but it's so easy to forget, you know what I mean? Because if I had to pay for everything, I would probably go to a sit-down restaurant maybe 3 or 4 times a year, I feel like. If even, like, you know, I really enjoy the experience, but financially it is hard to justify, and it's also very easy to be lazy about it, you know what I mean? It's not even a thing of not wanting to go by myself. I actually really like sitting down at a restaurant by myself and eating. I think being in like a different environment and just enjoying some like different food, but like in the peace of your own company, can be really like mellow as an experience. Very like inwardly enjoyable. But you know, it's definitely a little bit more of an expense, and it's easier to be lazy if you're not like going with somebody else and like sharing that experience. Much easier to just be like, oh, I don't know, I'll just get like some sort of takeaway instead. Although sometimes nowadays, you know, the price difference is really starting to shrink, you know. The difference between a relatively affordable sit down and a even slightly nice fast food is like really shrinking pretty quickly, you know. I almost wonder at what point it'll be too much for people, like myself included, of course. But I also feel like they can push it pretty far, because there are also a lot of people who are willing to like pay for delivery, and like if you order fast food with delivery, it is exorbitant, man. Like, oh my god, I would rather die. Like straight up, it is ridiculous. You know, I remember I was visiting my cousin last year, and he has a very different sense of money than I do, of course, because I'm broke, and he was doing like some engineering work, so he's making engineer money. Even if it's not like established, you know, he's not like deep in there, you know, as just being in that industry, you're gonna be making pretty solid bank, right? And there was one night where he was really craving McDonald's, and so he DoorDashed McDonald's for $45. And I was like, that is astonishing. What, 45 for McDonald's? Like, it was a big order, but I don't care. Like, that, over my dead body would I spend $45 on McDonald's in one go. Like, that felt illegal to me. And ultimately, it's not my problem, right? I wasn't sitting there being like, oh, there's no way you could do that, man. Like, that's... Come on, you're better than this. I thought it, but I didn't say it. But, like... It was very eye-opening to me at how different your perspective can be if you have money, but you're low on energy or time, versus if you have time or energy, but you don't have as much money, right? Because ultimately, that's what it boils down to, I feel like. Fast food is... You don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of energy. You just want to get it quickly. And it's kind of dumb, because you'll end up with less time and energy if you do choose to pick fast food. You know, it's just kind of... It sounds good, and then once you've finished eating it, you kind of regret it most of the time. It's not going to stop me, but... You know what I mean? It's definitely kind of a guilty pleasure choice in a lot of ways. And if you really don't have time and energy, you can get it delivered to you, which will make the time save more of a factor, I guess. Although you could also argue that you could just make something very lazy at home that comes together really fast. Like, I don't know, what if you just make like a grilled cheese? It's a little salty, a little oily, little filling, comes together in a few minutes. Maybe like, I don't know, like 5 or 10, but like it's certainly coming together faster than your delivery orders coming. And it's not like it's that high effort, you know. It's high enough effort that you have to overcome the friction of starting cooking. Not that it's like, it barely even counts as cooking, to be honest, but you know, I'm definitely the type of person where I can understand, you know, the feeling that it's a lot of work to decide that you're going to make something and go and start that process. Even if that thing you're making is like a grilled cheese, you know. There have been times where I have to question if I'm feeling too lazy to make like a bowl of cereal, which is, you know, that's not cooking. That's definitively not cooking. That's about zero effort activity. But you know, if you want like food, even if you have something that can come together in like 10 minutes and it doesn't take much effort from you, if you order delivery, it could be like 30 minutes, but it's 30 minutes you're doing something else, not thinking about it, and then it's there. And it's very indulgent, so like even if you will feel bad about it after, potentially, you will feel good about it in the moment you make the decision and the like initial point of eating it. Oh my, I suck. No! Last place! Oh. It'd be like that sometimes. Yo, that guy has a golden Wii wheel. What the heck? Wait, how do you get that? How do you have the Wii wheel icon on the Switch? Wait, that's so gas. Is that for like is that for playing with the Joy-Con on tilt controls in the same way that you can get the golden Wii wheel for playing the Wii wheel on online back in the day? Or I don't even know if it's on online or if it's just for 100%ing the game with the use of the Wii wheel. I don't remember, truthfully. I respect anybody who actually uses tilt controls, though. It's fun. It's fun to spam I'm on tilt controls or whatever the thing is. I think it's I'm using tilt controls. But actually using them is a whole different beast. So many tour tracks today. We're getting a lot of tour, which admittedly are my least favorite tracks, but that's okay. I'm just vibing anyway. We got Paris. Look at the Eiffel Tower. Very pretty. Yeah, I was watching a video earlier that was mentioning Paris. I think it was a video about North American public transit, and they were talking about like ridership per capita and comparing what like North American cities had the highest ridership per capita. And they basically showed that, like, you know, compared to a lot of like solid European cities, even the best North American cities don't compare like at all. Like, for example, Paris is not like it's good. It's not one of the top cities in Europe for ridership per capita, but it's like somewhat up there, and it beats all the North American cities, like unsurprising to be honest. But you know, it was interesting to see them compared and learn a little bit about how terrible transit is in my country. Not just in my country, but like, but I think the US is actually probably worse. But it's very interesting, you know, Toronto, I can't remember if it was number 1 or number 2. It was Toronto and New York were the top 2. I just don't remember what order they were in. But it's interesting because as much as it's easy to complain about how it almost feels like they picked the worst way to do everything possible for transit here, it's still a fairly reliable way to get around, and it's a lot better than most other options in North America are, you know what I mean? Like, much as you can complain about how it could be so much better, because it could, it's definitely still a pretty transit accessible city, which is nice, right? But it's just interesting to see that there's such a big market for it, and yet everything is so car oriented. It's like, how long does Toronto have to be one of the worst traffic cities on the planet before we finally start giving trains and buses and stuff more priority? You know what I mean? Like, how long do we have to wait before the people finally start putting more emphasis on good transit? Like, recently in Toronto, we actually got some new transit lines for the first time in a very long time. We got 2 new light rails, and from what I've heard, I haven't ridden either of them, but I've watched some stuff, and from what I saw and heard, they are terrible. Like, literally slower than walking. You can outwalk the light rail train, which is astonishing. That is so sad. But it's because they put the stops so close together, and they make you go at like a really slow speed, and you also don't get traffic priority, and it goes through a bunch of intersections. Like, there are legitimately a good amount of intersections in Toronto where you have like a streetcar or a light rail train going down the middle of an intersection, and a car in the middle lane will have a like advanced green to turn left in front of the train first, and just have the entire like light rail wait for the people to turn left first, which is like, dude, yo, advanced turn signals are good, but like, I don't know, maybe you should have like before that an advanced signal for the trains to go or something like that, and then have it. Like, we already have the kind of smart traffic lights nowadays where it'll basically never turn. You'll have like a small, like a side street on a main street, and there'll be a traffic light, and it'll always be green for the main road unless somebody presses the button or like a car pulls up to the intersection. Because like, if you can do that, then surely you could also have some sort of infrastructure to see if there's like a train waiting and have it like get a priority signal of some sort. You maybe don't turn a light red in the middle of it being green to let them through, because that sounds dangerous. But if the light's changing, I think the train should always go first, not like the drivers. That feels very silly to me. But it also feels very North America. Also, back spamming me when I'm already in 12. That is so rude. Come on, man. I will remember that, Cooper. Twi will remember that. But yeah, I was looking at some stuff with the transit, it's kind of a missed opportunity, but you know what it would be sick for? You know what it would be awesome for? If I did ever get around to trying jet lag in Toronto, because now the amount of stops is like double. Now you have more lines to play with, which is great. Because before, there were definitely not enough lines. Right? There's a couple of videos on YouTube, actually, of people doing like a fan-made jet lag game in Toronto, which I think is sick. I think it's wonderful. But only having 2 subway lines, it just really makes it so that you can narrow down what direction you're going so fast. You know what I mean? Like, one of the most interesting part, if nobody knows what jet lag is, by the way, they do a bunch of games that revolve around using transit lines in different, like, they play country scale usually, but the one that I'm referring to specifically is hide and seek. So you'll be playing hide and seek where, I don't know, let's say maybe you start at like the heart of downtown, you get like 2 hours to go and hide, and the rule is that you have to be within like a quarter mile of a transit station that you've decided is like eligible for that rule set. So in this case, I don't know, we'll say like any of the subway or light rail train lines. You know, if you get off at a station, you can hide in like that little vicinity, and the seekers get to ask questions to try and figure out where you went, and in exchange you get to draw cards that are like power-ups for you to try and get a better time or like sabotage the people who are seeking. It's a very fun show, honestly. If it sounds interesting, they just finished a new season of hide and seek. They did hide and seek in the UK, and it was pretty good, honestly. I liked it. I enjoyed watching. So, you know, I've always thought it would be really fun to try it out here. But having only 2 transit lines, a lot of the strategy of figuring out in the early game, like, okay, well, where do we start going, is really easy, right? Like, you just ask a question that lets you figure out if they're on line 1 or line 2. Then you ask a second question where you sort of cut the map left and right, and suddenly now you already know exactly what way to go, right? 2 questions, pretty much guaranteed line to get in the right direction to go and find them. So the strategy felt a little bit less interesting, but now that there's like 4 lines, you've got a little bit more variety to play with, which is interesting. And when I was theorizing it, I was also thinking of going beyond just the subway lines and including go lines, which is basically... Oh, that's what you get, Cooper. That is actually what you get for back spamming me last time. And the blue shell, I hope that happened to him before he crossed the line. Ah, he still got second. Well, it was about sending a message to Cooper for doing me dirty last race. But yeah, here in Toronto, we have both the like Toronto Transit Committee, which is what does our subways and our light rails and stuff. But there's also the Go Transit, which is kind of like the Ontario provincial line. They have buses, they have trains that go a bit further. So I think that having like those 2 options puts more in play. It's more interesting. Of course, the downside is you have to, like, you know, if you go out of downtown, then there's like a lot more scarcity in what you can choose to hide at anyway. But I think I ended up mapping out like every regional transit stop at the time that I made that. My document might be outdated by now, but like I think that it was a really cool idea that I had back then, and it would be really fun to try it out in the future now that there's more lines downtown. Of course, I wouldn't want to do it right now because it's absolutely dreadful weather. It is, it is very much February, pinnacle of the winter cold right now. And so I would not want to play a game of hide and seek where the whole point is that I kind of just chill in the same area outside all day and explore like a little part of the city that I wouldn't normally be in. You know, I would much rather wait until it's nice weather outside and then try it out. But I would love to sometime this year maybe end up trying my own like jet lag spin. I think that I was working on compiling like all of the power-ups that they had in hide and seek, and also like basically remaking everything from scratch with a couple custom things instead of buying the game, because they do sell like an at-home version of Jet Lag the game where you can like get all of the cards for the hide and seek rule set and all this stuff, which is great, but it costs $50, which is like, I can't do that. That's too expensive for me, boss. It'd be really fun, I think. I've also thought it would be really cool to turn into like a YouTube video, but I don't know how I would edit that in a way that wouldn't like dox myself. Not in terms of like where I live, but like my face, you know what I mean? Maybe there's a workaround. Maybe if I do a lot of like editing in post to like crop myself out of everything ever, there would be a way, but I would have to think about it really hard. Ooh, bullet. And after the golden as well. Oh, but I totally botched my chance to get far ahead. Okay, I need to pop this because this star is going to boom me. Okay, decent bullet up to third. Oh, he got a red shell. I'm scared. No! No! He ran into the wall, and that means that now he throws it at me, and now I'm going to get comboed. Okay, I didn't get comboed, but everybody did pass me. Ow. That's okay. That's just part of the Mario Kart experience, is getting randomly owned at the very end of the race. It's classic. It's integral. Ooh, Rainbow Road Wii. I like didn't even realize that. Oh no, I did know that Rainbow Road Wii is on here. But yeah, I had fun watching the Jet Lag season. I gotta message my cousin about it because he's the one that got me into Jet Lag back when they first started Hide and Seek Japan, which I think is like one of the best series that they've done. It was really, really fun to watch. I think it's the perfect place for that format, you know what I mean? Japan has so many really efficient train lines that you can get really far really quickly, and there's a lot of like little local lines that you can dip off to. So the strategy was very rich and interesting. I think that it was at a time where they weren't as good at the strategy, and so it would be fun if they ever did like a season 2 of Hide and Seek in Japan, and they went back to it with like a more modern knowledge and game theory for it. But I really liked Hide and Seek Japan. And so he got me into it during that. I'm curious if he's gotten around to watching Hide and Seek UK. I feel like probably. If not, giving him the reminder would probably get him on it, unless he's like really busy with university right now. Whoa, I didn't know you could drive down here. That's cool. He's also the one that got me into Balatro, which has been a fun addiction. I haven't been playing multiplayer as much over the past few days, although I've still definitely been playing like in general. I was thinking a challenge I want to try next week, maybe Unemployed Tuesday, what I'll do is seeing how many gold stake runs I can win in a row. Gold stake is the hardest difficulty, so basically we'll just like start doing gold stake, and then if I lose, the stream ends. I was trying it off stream the other day. I was messaging Shiny while I started it, and I ended up winning 4 runs in a row, and then I lost my 5th run because I was going new deck like every run. I would try and see how many of the decks I could get through without losing, and the 5th one, if you go in order, is significantly hard, like arguably the hardest one. Oh wait, that was actually psychic. I just like randomly popped my star at the exact moment, but I didn't get a box, and I ran into a pole, and now I feel like I've kind of squandered my advantage a little bit. Oh, that's so scary. Leave me alone. Yay! 4th. I will take it. Almost at 10,900. We just need one more good race for 10.9. Yeah, it was fun to play single-player Balatro for the first time in a while, because it's like an entirely different game, I feel like, in terms of strategy. Multiplayer is so min-max, like, you just have to go for, like, the most absurd endgame every time, and there's a lot of luck that can play into it. It's overall a high-skill game. Like, I really like strategy games that involve variance. But man, like, sometimes Balatro is frustrating because I'm bad. You know, I watched a really good video kind of about this topic, I would say, the other day. It's from one of the, I would say, most established Pokemon players in, like, the competitive scene. His name is Aaron Trailer. He's a doctor now. Bro got his PhD, which is sick. And he's kind of like in the same friend group and like prep group as the #1 best player in the world, who's also the best YouTuber in the scene. And he made this really great like 45-minute video essay talking about why competitive Pokemon is really hard to explain how difficult it is, which sounds like the kind of thing that you would say as like a cope sort of. For like, oh, it's so complicated, like I can't even explain it, you know. It's so, you wouldn't understand. You need a high IQ to understand Pokemon. But like, it's a really interesting strategy game that combines a lot of different elements that is hard to find elsewhere. The main sort of ideas that go into what makes competitive Pokemon like hard to explain is that there's like 4 pillars of the gameplay that you can find comparisons in other games, but basically nothing contains like the same combination of 4, like that full Venn diagram of those 4 circles. So one of them is you have like a long-term strategy component like chess, where you're kind of envisioning what you want a board state to look like, you know, many turns from now, and what kind of moves you need to make initially to get into that point. So like, for example, I don't know, if you have Gyarados and your opponent has a Pikachu that can kill it in 1 hit, but you use a ground type to kill the Pikachu in the early game, like they let you get the Pikachu, now long term your positioning is really good because they no longer have Pikachu to deal with your Gyarados, and so your Gyarados can go be a lot higher value of a piece in that end game. It's kind of like how in chess, you know, a knight and a bishop are like roughly the same value early game, but most of the time you would rather trade your knight for your opponent's bishop because if you let the bishops go uncontested later in the game, they tend to be more powerful as a piece relatively, right? So like little nuances about board positioning like that exist in Pokemon. There's also the component of like a rock, paper, scissors sort of aspect, because you have simultaneous decision making instead of turn-based. Like in chess, I make a move and then you make a move, and I can see what you did and then make my next move accordingly and whatnot, right? But in Pokemon, like you kind of know what each other could do, but you move at the same time. You both lock in and then the turn plays out. So you have to sort of predict. Like sometimes you can end up in a situation where basically if I do A and my opponent does B, I win. But if I do A and my opponent does C, I lose. And of course you don't want to be in that position, but you have like actual rock, paper, scissors moments like that. And then you have little moments earlier where it's like not necessarily an outright win or lose 50-50 like that, but it does have implications on the game depending on what you think your opponent's going to do. You make a certain prediction, right? And then there's also imperfect information. Sometimes you don't know everything about a board state and you have to make an educated guess and like cover options. So that aspect is kind of like poker, you know, like you can look at your hand and know how strong it is. You can sort of read how your opponent's acting and try to predict, you know, how good what they have is, and you can choose to like call their bluff or not. But ultimately you don't necessarily know what they have. There's no way for you to know what they're gonna have until it's already over, right? And then the last thing is probability management. And so poker kind of has that too, right? Where, you know, you're never guaranteed to win just because you have a strong hand, but you can kind of make statistically a best move, right? And that kind of sentiment is a big thing with Pokemon, but there's a lot bigger range of like what could happen. So on the like side that you would think about normally, there's stuff like you might choose to run an attack that is stronger, but only hits 90% of the time. And so 90% of the time, it is the right move, but 10% of the time you miss and you get nothing. And that's like a super big hit for you. So you have to figure out, like, do I have a safer play than clicking the 90% accurate move? And then there's also stuff where it's less controlled. Like, I don't know. You could click Ice Beam because Ice Beam is a good move, and 10% of the time it'll freeze your opponent and completely debilitate them, which is insane. So, you know, if you set up a board state where you get to click Ice Beam 10 times and it freezes 10% of the time, and if you get that freeze at some point, it's probably game winning for you, that could be a form of probability management where you're like, it is probably statistically best for me if I sit in a neutral board state where they're clicking something that doesn't do anything extra, and I'm clicking something where I might get a secondary effect that could be like game swinging for me, right? So there's those elements of probability management. And this is all to say, Pokemon's very complicated in that aspect. I think Ballotro is actually the closest I've ever gotten to the same experience that I got with Pokemon in balancing like all of those aspects, right? You have to like make a good decision about what kind of build you think your opponent is doing, and if you can get ahead of them in that regard, or if you can take a different path that might pan out. And part of that is just like, what are you most likely to pull that will scale you faster than your opponent, or like what things can you do to get ahead. So like maybe you can set up your deck to score less now, but create more tarot cards or create more money so that you will then get ahead of them in the store and find things that are ultimately more powerful than they will, and you'll come back instead of immediately being stronger. And stuff like that is big. And there's also like calling the bluff of like, you know, there's a risky option that could pay out well. Do I think my opponent did that? Or if they did, you know, would I rather go for it as well so that we stay even, or try to, you know, assume that most of the time that was a bad choice and I will get ahead as a result of them choosing that like variance, right? But having strategy games that have controlled variance and imperfect information, like you don't necessarily know exactly what your opponent's doing. You can approximate it off of what you see, what would like strategically make sense to be happening in that moment. And you can try and pick things that are probabilistically the best. And yet there's still that like level of uncertainty that keeps it exciting and different every game. That kind of experience is really unique. I think a lot of people never get into a strategy game that ticks those kind of boxes because the learning curve can be pretty steep when you're starting out, you know? Most of the time to have a game that, you know, has so many components like that, it's going to be really confusing at the start, and there's a lot of stuff that you just have to memorize how it works, and the game will feel very foreign. But it is one of the most interesting mental experiences when you get into it. Also, I cannot believe both of them just like had the parting of the Red Sea into those two random pillars and just face planted, letting me go into second. That's what you get, Cooper. That's what you get for throwing a shell backwards at me when I was already in 12th place on Big Blue. That was messed up. I remember that, Cooper. I remember that. You deserved a face plant. I don't know why I'm being mean to Cooper. I'm sure it didn't. It didn't even matter. Oh my god, everybody picking Ribbon Road. Fun. But yeah, that's all to say, like, multiplayer Balatro is really interesting, but it is kind of stressful as well. You know, you're juggling so many things that you can't really be certain about. I think that it's probably really fun at a top level, but for like a mid-level player like me, sometimes it feels like you just get unlucky in some way that you probably could have made a smarter decision before that would lower your exposure to stuff like that. Of course, there's always a chance to lose to bad luck, but it's it feels a lot more chill in some ways to go back to playing single player, which in some ways is kind of more luck based. Like, you know, in multiplayer, if you hit a seed where all of your options are garbage, right? Like you can't find anything good. At least both of you are on that, right? And you're both kind of stuck dealing with a trash build for a bit until, you know, either it just stays trash forever and one of you loses, or, you know, eventually you both make it out of that trash build and you get to scale it into something different. Like trash seeds can be kind of fun because they force you to play a little bit differently. But in single player, you get one life instead of 4. So like if you get a trash seed and it's unscorable, you just die. Like, and so in that regard, sometimes you just don't have the tools to win straight up. But on the flip side, you know, if you get like anything and the bar's not that high, if you find anything usable, you know, suddenly it is a lot more of a controlled experience whether you win or lose. And that's kind of satisfying, right? Like you just make the best of a lower like floor to get to. That green shell went all the way through me. Oh my goodness. You know, it feels like you're allowed to do a little bit more in single player. Not in terms of like how high your ceiling is, but in terms of like the floor being lower. You're allowed to try more different builds and stuff and have it still be successful, which I like. I think that both are fun, they're just different. But in some ways, I think it would be fun to do another competitive Pokemon stream someday. I don't play much anymore for competitive. I used to play a lot. Now I'm kind of washed, but I do love the series. You know, I keep up with it loosely. And I think I did stream competitive Pokemon a long time ago as Twi as well. It's been quite a while since I did that, but it would be fun to run it back. I like to build like cheesy strategies with like just fun Pokemon. Like maybe not the best Pokemon, but funny stuff, and then see if I can get wins with it. I think that's the most fun way to play. It's not the most fun way to play if you're trying to like win tournaments, because obviously you're not going to. But one of the interesting things about competitive Pokemon is that it didn't used to be this way, but now the tournaments have almost perfect information. So basically the nuance is that you can choose to a degree how you train your stats. You can choose to be more offensive. Maybe you max out your speed and your damage. Or like you max your speed, you almost max your damage. Or you max your damage, you almost max your speed. Or you like max your defenses and you try to be really fat. Or you go somewhere in between. You get enough offense to get certain like meta relevant damage. You get enough defense to live certain meta relevant attacks, right? There's a lot of nuance to how you do that. And that aspect of imperfect information still exists when you're playing in a tournament. But when you're playing on like the ranked ladder in game, if you're just playing like best of one ranked games, you get to see what 6 Pokemon your opponent has, and that's it. You don't know the moves, you don't know the items, you don't know the abilities, you don't know the way that they're trained. You ball, bro. And so you have much more room to do stuff that is very silly and unconventional that doesn't normally fly in a tournament setting, which is so fun. Like, I think one of the most interesting nuances of the competitive Pokemon scene that I've never seen in any other esport is that different regions have different rule sets that they qualify into the World Championships with, and it makes the game so different. So, for example, the system I was describing where everything except for the way that the stats are trained is open information, that's how they play it in almost the entire world. North America, Europe, Oceania, that's how they play it in all 3 of those regions, right? Which are the 3, and South America, actually. So all the major regions, because Africa doesn't tend to get events, unfortunately. But, you know, very, very established format. But some of the, like, Southeast Asian countries have their own, like, subsidiaries of the Pokemon Company instead of being under the Pokemon Company International. And so they play with their own rules. And Japan, their entire tournament format, I don't know if it's fully still the same. I think it is. But at least for a long time, the way that it works is that instead of having these like regular tournaments to qualify, they play an in-game best of one ladder tournament where you have like, you're basically playing ranked games where you can much more easily cheese your opponents. And you're playing best of ones. So if you get hit with a cheese strat and it works, you don't get like the best of 3 set to adapt to it. You just lose and now you go next, right? And not only that, after you do well in the online tournament for that, you then go to an in-person tournament that also is closed team sheet best of one. And on top of that, I believe it was single elimination too, not even double elimination. So if you get cheesed one game, you actually are just out from qualifying for the World Championships, which is almost as insane as how badly I just got comboed right there. That was messed up. But all of this is to say, it's really interesting because the type of stuff that you see come out of the metagame in Japan is so much more like creative and different than everywhere else because they're in a system that rewards being clever and like tricky instead of a system that rewards being very consistent and like having a large breadth of options. So it's a really interesting competitive scene, honestly. I think it would be fun to touch it again. That was a weird phrasing. Like, to touch on it again at some point in the near future. I think it could be fun. I don't really play actively anymore, but, you know, your boy kind of still got it. There was a period a year-ish ago, something like that, where I went on Pokemon Showdown, not like the in-game ladder, but Pokemon Showdown is just as big. they're pretty much interchangeable, I would say. And I was rank 1 for like 2 weeks, which was really sick. Yeah, we kind of like cracked the metagame before everybody else who actually was still active in the scene got it. And so it was very easy for me to stay ahead for a bit until people figured it out and then optimized what I had and were just infinitely better. But it was fun when I did do that. I feel like that's a lot of the fun of it too, is like the team building aspect. Pokemon is probably the only not card game I can think of that is functionally a deck builder, which is kind of cool. I love unique strategy games, very fun. You know what I haven't played in a minute as well in terms of strategy games? Scrabble. I should play some Scrabble sometime soon. I remember Somefish posted in the Discord what looked to me like the chillest night of all time. He was at a karaoke bar doing karaoke and playing Scrabble. And I was like, holy, that sounds like my kind of night, bro. Karaoke and Scrabble, that sounds like a goated combo. I wish that I had friends that would be up for that. That sounds fire. I have people that I could talk to for the karaoke. Less so for the Scrabble, but I do still kind of have that option. But both, I don't have the intersection like that. To be fair, neither of them are competitive about Scrabble, so it's kind of different. But that being said, I feel like I just don't have that many friends that are into word games in general. Yeah, I think the best I can tend to settle for is doing like a Connections or a Wordle with the boys or my dad. That's about the best I got, which is also pretty good, you know. I like doing them. I don't do them every day. I haven't done Connections in a while. I used to do a lot of word searches with my dad too. It's been a long, or not word search, crossword. A lot of crosswords with my dad. It's been a while since we've been on the crossword grind. They were kind of fun. Ah. Ooh. I can try. Oh, the back green again. That is rough. All right, red shells, go. Oh, I want to hit the pinball. Oh, bye, Cooper. Bye, Cooper. I don't know what this vendetta I have against Cooper is, but it's fun. Is that 10,000? No, I need like one more good race or like 2 more decent races to hit 11,000. Let's get her done. Yeah, it's been a while since I've played Scrabble. That could be fun. I kind of wish my dad would be into Scrabble. Because, you know, he likes doing the other word games, but also I'm not surprised that he isn't into it. Because Scrabble, in a lot of ways, is actually a lot more of a memorization game than a word game. Or at the very least, at the start it is. Like, you have to memorize all the 2-letter words and, like, some of the relevant 3, maybe 4-letter words in order to really open up the strategy of the game for your general word knowledge to be good, right? Because it's one thing to be really good at spotting difficult words that are like part of a reasonable, like well-educated not lexicon. That's not the right word. What was I thinking of? Vernacular. That's the word I was thinking of. I don't know how I confused those two. As you can tell, my vernacular isn't that good. But, you know, like, even just like, you know, if you can think of the word vernacular, that's a good asset to have as a Scrabble player. But you also need to find somewhere on the board to link vernacular to. And you'll have much better options if you know, like, the building blocks of connecting a Scrabble word, you know? If you know what kind of shorter words you can play to, like, play across other words and, like, open the board. It's kind of like how if you're a good strategic thinker, you might be decent at chess, but until you learn an opening, you're never going to be that good, you know what I mean? Somebody will just out-theory you, and that will suck for you. Can you do this shrimless? No. Wait, you just... What? I could have swore that that shortcut is possible, but I got taken away, like, instantly. Maybe I went too tight, and that's why? I don't know. You definitely need a mushroom for that. Maybe in Mario Kart Wii you don't. But on this one you do. Oh, that's fine. You know what, now that I think about it, I feel like a lot of my favorite games actually kind of fall under the boat of, like, having some sort of transferable skill that you can pick up from other stuff, but also a kind of high, like, floor to get into the game. Oh, why did I try that? That is not doable as a shortcut in this game. Oh man, I'm in 10th. I'm getting cooked. I'm getting starved. I'm gonna get last. I got one item because I'm buns and it's a star. Surely somebody else is getting owned. No. Oh man, I was one race away and then I came in last. Now I'm 2 races away. There's somebody just named Bye at the top. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have a knack. I don't know that I necessarily have a knack for them, but I have an interest in games where you kind of have to work a little bit to get into it, but once you're into it, you know, I feel like the learning process gets a lot more intuitive, and then it's very fun. But it also depends, because there are some games that I think you could describe that way, where when you're starting out, it's like a lot of information to take in, and it's very hard to get into. And then once you're more in it, you get the more intuitive improvement. There are some games where I feel like I do not fall into that camp, like, at all. Like, for example, I have some friends that are really into, like, Overwatch or Marvel Rivals. Just those kind of, like, big team-based hero shooters that are very movement-oriented. I am trash at those games. Like, I can pick the simplest character and walk in and let my aim, like, kind of carry me a little bit. But that's kind of all I can do, because I can't keep up with everything. It feels very overstimulating. Oh, I'm bad. You know, it's one of those things where on paper, I would love to get to understand one of those games a little bit more. I think it could be really interesting, a bit different, a bit fun. And it would be satisfying to be good at one, because it'd be nice to have as, like, an option to play with friends and be, like, the skilled friend. I like being the skilled friend at games. But also, you know, I don't like the community of a lot of shooters. Like, I think that it's fun with friends, but I don't like the types of people that you deal with when you're practicing by yourself. So I don't tend to gravitate towards them so much. Although, to be honest, I don't really play games where I talk to my teammates, if I even play something where I have teammates in general. Like, it's been a long while since I played any sort of team-based ranked game by myself. And when I did, most of the time, I would just mute my teammates, because, like, I don't care. I'm there to play the game. And a lot of people are very, like, sour. They're very petty, very immature. It just makes it hard to enjoy, so. I just kind of be in my own lane. I'm doing so bad. I'm getting last again, bro. Like being the trash friend because I can mess around. Being the trash friend is fun. I think that I have a bit of an ego thing of enjoying being like good at games because my like friend group that I grew up with, there was a lot of social hierarchy around being good at games. But I've kind of let go of a lot of that, to be honest. I don't super care about it anymore. It's a lot of fun to just kind of mess around in a game. Because it kind of turns into a win-win. You don't care that much if you lose, and if you happen to do something really good, then it's very funny. But yeah, I don't bother with like team-based stuff unless I'm just kind of playing for vibes with my friends nowadays. Because it's too stressful, bro. But you know who's on the opposite end of the spectrum? Like the absolute opposite is my brother-in-law. Dude, my brother-in-law, oh my god, bro. Him and my sister, they really like League of Legends, which I love them still. However, comma, they keep trying to egg me on to try League, and it's like, no, you can't make me do it. You can't. I won't. I will not stoop to that low. I've gone this long without ever falling victim to the clutches of League of Legends, and you really think I will let that slip now of all times? There's no way. I would never. I love myself too much to do that. Wow, I missed the item and then got robbed. That's messed up. Yeah, and my brother-in-law, he's a menace. Like, he's actually such a menace. He likes to go on League, find people who are toxic, and then just like mess with them, but not in like a, not necessarily in a being like toxic back to them, like talking trash. More so like just being like really sarcastic and like dry humor at them. Like, he's not religious, but he likes to tell random people on League when they get mad, like, Jesus loves you. Or like something stupid like that, you know what I mean? Like, just sort of like toxic positivity, I think, is the best way to describe it. Like, you know that it's not really genuine, but it is funny to watch them because they kind of malfunction, right? It's like they don't know what to do when you respond to them being really mean by saying something that is like overly nice. But also, like, that's so messy. Doing that is so messy as a hobby. Like, why would you put yourself through that? Why would you humor those people? You know what I mean? They are ultimately there having an experience of being very upset and frustrated, and they are projecting that energy onto you. And you could choose to not engage, or you could choose to tank all of that negative energy face first for an opportunity for like a funny moment. But I feel like it's just not worth it. You know what I mean? When I was younger, I used to like seeing people who were toxic so that I could try and like make fun out of the situation, right? But I feel like as I grew older, I lost any interest in doing that. It's like if you're gonna be chill, I might be willing to be more social. But if you're gonna be upset, like, I'm just gonna click mute, you know what I mean? I don't got time for that energy. But I think maybe I also have more of a predisposition to like take games seriously, and as a result of that, having somebody else who has like a very negative energy towards the game can kind of throw off my own experience of the game more easily. Like I can be swung more easily, and therefore I would put more value in like protecting my peace than somebody who, I'm not gonna say has thicker skin than me, because I think that my skin is plenty thick, right? I don't get like actually hurt by anything very easily, but maybe more so somebody who doesn't like, just truly does not care at all. Been another rough start to the race, but we can chain the star. Got a golden mushroom. Guess I will chain another star here. With the 888, sure. Oh, I spammed my whatever my item there was. That sucks. I think there's another star. We do be getting kind of back into it here. That is a little unfortunate. It's okay, we just get it right back. Sixth? I'll take it. It was a rough start, so honestly, that's not too bad. +4. It is a rough few races. We were so close. We were on the verge of greatness. We were one measly game from 11,000. But honestly, I think I'll probably call it here for tonight. I feel like my voice is getting a little bit tired, and I'm supposed to do karaoke tomorrow, so I don't want to push myself too much. But it was fun hopping on Mario Kart for a bit. Just having the yap sesh, doing some driving. It was chill. I'm looking forward to seeing if I can get the Mario Kart Wii servers up, because I think that would be like even more vibe for me. I would definitely like to do that. But thank you guys for hanging with me through some Mario Kart. It was fun. Tomorrow will be karaoke at the usual time slot, 7 Eastern. So hopefully I can see you there for some tunes. Should be fun. And I have some cool stuff that I'll be announcing tomorrow as well, so maybe you can show up for some of the announcements, teehee. But thank you guys for hanging. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day or evening, and I'll see you tomorrow for some karaoke. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.